Segment 4, poles apart. We've not talked about this. I don't think we've even exchanged emails on this on Ricochet, but there's several aspects of contemporary American political life that strike me as important, maybe alarming, and while I've got you, I want to see what Paul Rahe has to say about them. Partisan polarization. Just a few decades ago, the Republican Party had its left wing and its right wings. The liberals in the Eastern establishment, the conservatives out west. The Democratic Party was even more pronounced, the liberals in the Northeast and the very conservative Democrats in the South. You think of the Southern barons of the Senate, John Cornelius Stennis of Mississippi or John Sparkman of Alabama. So that both our parties contained left and right wings. And of course, in recent decades, the parties have sorted themselves out on ideological lines.
Yes.
So that in 1954, the Republicans pick up 54 seats, and they do so largely by taking 30-some seats that had been held by conservative Democrats in the South and making them Republican seats. Mm-hmm. So, Democrats over there, Republicans over there, and the area of interlap, which used to be considerable, is now thin and attenuated and disappearing. Trouble?
Yes, of course. It's happened many times in American history, though. It happens in 1800, a very bitter election. It happens in 1832, a very bitter election. It happens in 1860. It happens in 1932. There are sort of two periods in American political life. There are periods in which one party or another has hegemony, and there is a measure of consensus. The parties fight over who can best manage the American government in this set of circumstances.
Right.
And then there are other periods when we make decisions about the direction of American life. We are approaching, we have been approaching for some time, a period when a decision is going to be made. I think the 2012 election may be the most important election in your lifetime or mine, even more important than the 1980 election, which is the precursor to the 2012 election.
Okay, I'm still holding you off on 2012. I want to try another
Yes.
couple of these on you. Polarization with regard to the constitutional order. On the Supreme Court, just a few years ago, Republican appointees were some of the most liberal members of the Supreme Court. That has stopped, with the single exception of Mr. Justice Kennedy, who goes either way. But broadly speaking, the Democratic appointees are now liberal, and the Republican appointees are now conservative. And moreover, among liberals generally, over the last few years, you get increasing discomfort with the Constitution. Rick Hertzberg, writing in the New Yorker magazine this past January, the biggest obstacle to energetic, coherent action is systemic. Our ungainly 18th century legislative mechanism is shot through with veto points. We have 3 separately elected governments, House, Senate, and Presidency, all of which must agree for anything big to happen. Our 2-year election cycle leaves little time for long-acting changes to ripen and be judged fairly, and we're stuck with it. Paul?
That sounds like Woodrow Wilson in 1912, who makes exactly the same attack on the Constitution. Teddy Roosevelt, the nominee of the Progressive Party in 1912, is making exactly the same set of claims. They're frustrated by limited government. They want unlimited government.
There's so much they want to do.
That's right, and they want to do it to us.
Right.
Beverly Perdue down in North Carolina would like to do without elections.
Yes.
So that we can get something done and then get the American people lined up and make them consent to it.
Right. All right. Last point of polarization, potentially to me the most serious, but we'll see what you say about it, Paul. From the new book, American Grace, by the political scientists Robert Putnam and David Campbell, quote, longish quotation, but important, I think. You may tell me that I'm wrong, feel free, but I think it's important. Americans are increasingly concentrated at opposite ends of the religious spectrum, the highly religious at one pole and the avowedly secular at the other. In the past, there were religious tensions, but they were largely between religions, Catholic versus Protestant most notably, rather than between the religious and the irreligious. Today there is a growing secular swath of the population, close quote. So we find ourselves dividing into the party of God and the party of irreligion. This is a problem?
Yes, but it is a sign that we're coming to a great decision about the future of American life.